Hi people, Daniel from Devon Sons Guitars here. Today we're looking at how you use compounds to buff and polish your guitar. Now I'm going to be using products from Axe Wax in this video. I've been using their original wax for a long time, but I've just switched to using their two compounds. And very kindly, Chris from Axe Wax has sent me a different finishing polish and something called Axe Blast. Now, what I'm actually going to do is make some more videos of using these products because there's quite a few different ways to use them. Today, though, I'm using them on a guitar that's had a new paint job and clear coat put on, which has then been sanded down to 1000 grit. The guitar I'm actually using was sent to me by ARY Custom Guitars. He's asked me to do this to it and then set it up ready to sell it in the aid of the British Cancer Research Charity. So check out my Instagram feed for more information about when that's happening. Anyway, let's get on with the process of buffing. So first up is Mass X, which is a cutting polish. It's a bit like a fine sandpaper that you're using. You want to apply it with a slightly damp cloth. And I like to put it on in a figure of 8 patterns. This is what I was taught when I was learning to French polish. So I like to go over the guitar without stopping any movement at any point with this sort of figure 8. And as you can see here, leaves behind a sort of white finish, which is absolutely fine. That's what you're aiming at. Don't press too hard. If you're pressing really hard, you're going to potentially cause scratches. So you want to just lightly rub over the surface. You're going to have to do this a number of times, but I'll get back to that in a moment. On the bottle, it actually suggests that you go in straight lines. So I'm having a go at that as well. This is what it will look like if you're going in a straight line. What you want to do is try and keep all your movements in one direction. So another thing to use are these polishing pads. They're Velcro backed. I attach them to my drill. I've got a variable speed drill. You don't want to go too fast, otherwise you burn into the paint. And just like the cloth, you want to dampen your sponge a bit first. I look like I'm enjoying this a little bit too much there, don't I? And then you just put a dollop of the Mass X on. Oh, and whilst you're here, giving a light's really helpful. And again, I'm using a figure 8 movement and I'm not stopping at any point, just pressing lightly. You can see the white residue building up on the surface. I tend to work on one side at a time with both processes, either using a cloth or using this. And then I can flip and do the other side and also then work on the sides of the guitar too. So Axe Wax is a British-based family-run business, which really appeals to me as a small business based in Britain myself. I'm really trying to collaborate more with other similar-sized businesses. So here we can see that residue, it just wipes off. Regardless of whether you use cloths or you've used the pads, you then need to wipe down that surface. And this is where you put real elbow grease in. You can see the reflection almost coming through already. I'm going backwards and forwards. Here I'm using a piece of lint-free cotton rag. Once that's done, you want to repeat. I normally do it 3 times. Before moving on to Fine X, which is the next compound polish. Essentially, this is like an even finer sandpaper. Once again, dampen your cloth. Potentially you could use figure 8s or you could use the straight line like's recommended on the bottle. You can already see the shine coming through here. Or you could use the pads. Here I'm doing the front and the sides with it. It's a bit of an odd angle doing it in front of the camera. Normally I'd lift it right up so it's not touching the table at all. Don't forget, if you're finding this useful, please hit the super thanks. I've got some videos about the different types of pads you can use. I'll leave a link in the description below. But essentially, this pad is fine for this guitar. Sometimes you might need a conical pad to get into the little fine. This is fine, but that's just because I'm used to it. They're not very expensive, definitely worth experimenting with these pads. Again, we've got the residue, I'm wiping it off. And again, I like to do this process, repeat it 3 times. Sometimes you might find you want to do it more. The more you do it, the more shine you're likely to get. But once you get to a certain point, it's not going to get any more shiny unless you go to the next stage, which is using the wax. So here I'm using the G2 wax that Chris sent me. In the past, I've used the Axe Wax original wax, which I think works just as well. This one's more of a liquid form, whereas the other wax is more solid. And here I'm wiping it on by hand. You could do it with the pads as well. I'm just lightly rubbing it on. Either way, it's just a light coating as before. This you only really need to do once because you're putting the wax on to bring out the shine. Again, it will have some residue and then you want to wipe that down. But here, because it's potentially the last stage, you really want to put the elbow grease in and rub hard on it. Now, Chris also sent me this Axe Blast. I've got to say, not used something like this before after I've put the wax on, but I was very, very impressed with it. So you just mist it over the surface. Again, I'm working one surface at a time, and then you rub it down with your cloth. I think it really adds something to the shine. And like a lot of Axe Wax products, it's got an amazing smell. I'll just put in some pictures here as well of the finished guitar so you can see what it looks like. And if you are watching this about the time the video went live, please check out my Instagram, because over on there I'll be promoting the raffle for this guitar, all in the aid of Cancer Research UK. Thanks for watching. If you do use these products, let me know in the comments below what you think of them and how you use them. Maybe use them in a slightly different way. I've got a link below as well of where you can buy them. And don't forget to check out the Axe Wax playlist listed below, which has got videos of me using their products in different ways. We'll be uploading those videos each time a guitar comes into my workshop and I use the product. So you could also subscribe to me to check them out. Until next time, happy strumming.